Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So today we will present the material about critical sociolinguistic approaches to language and power. Before begin the presentation, let me introduce our group, starting with me. My name is Fahri Asri, and the first speaker is Reski Amalia, and then second speaker is the Fitria. So for the introduction, sociolinguistic lacks a comprehensive theory that links language to society as a whole. Some scholars, such as Chambers, 2003, focus on theories of language variation, which emphasize that language reflects social structures, especially in terms of status and gender. However, critical approaches in linguistics argue that language not only reflects but can also manipulate and incorrectly represent social relations. And then there are several topic will be discussed today. Is the first one is power phase and language sociolinguistic, and then critical discourse analysis, critical language awareness and practice, resistance to strong language, and then sociolinguistic and symbolic power, the work of Pierre Bourdieu. So the first topic will be explained by me. So power phase and language sociolinguistic. The first point is use of honorifics indicated power relation in language TV forms. The use of honorifics in language such as the TV forms in French or similar forms in other languages is closely related to the concept of power, social hierarchy. The T form is often used in more informal or intimate relationship, typically between individuals of equal or lower social status, whereas the V or views form in used informal situation or to show respect to someone higher status are Brown and Gilman 1916. Hi, highlighted that this use of pronouns reflects an asymmetrical power relationship where the individual with more power can use the while the subordinate must use P. This distinction extends to various social contexts such as family, church, or workplace, where hierarchical relationships often dictate language choice. And then politeness and power influenced by social distance, relative power, and level of coercion in interaction. Politeness in a language is influenced by three major factors: social distance, relative power, and degree of imposition in interaction. Brown and Levinson, 1987, developed the theory of politeness and face, explaining that individuals strive to maintain their positive self-image, positive face, while avoiding offensive or negative space. Linguistic interaction becomes more polite when the social distance between speakers is large, the power imbalance is significant, or when a request places a heavy burden on the addresses. In context power, individual with greater social or political authority have more freedom to initiate informal or direct conversation, while those with less power must adhere to stricter norms of politeness. So the next topic will be explained by Dewi Fitria. So Dewi Fitria, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to given to me. So, the material is critical discourse analysis. Number 1, Norman Fairclough, language analysis to understand social conflicts. Norman Fairclough, a key figure in critical discourse analysis, emphasizes that language not only reflects social structures but also creates and sustains power imbalance. Fairclough used CDA to explore how language in various social contexts, such as politics, media, and education, communicates dominant ideologies that often serve the interests of those in power. CDA analyzes how language is produced, circulate, and consumed in society, and how this reinforces existing power relations. Fairclough also highlights the importance of examining language in relation to social conflict, where discourse is used as a tool to either maintain or challenge power. Number 2, ideology. Louis Althusser, a system of ideas and practice that benefit specific social groups. Louis Althusser. Louis Althusser argued that ideology is a system of ideas, belief, and practice that benefit certain social groups, especially the dominant ones. According to him, ideology functions through ideological state apparatuses such as school, media, circus, and families, which help to subtly and unconsciously reinforce the status quo. Fairclough agreed with this perspective, arguing that language is a key medium through which ideology operates, creating perceptions that obscure the true power relations. Number 3, side and class struggle. Discourse as an arena for class struggle. V.N. Volosinov and Bakhtin. In the context of discourse as an arena of class struggle, V.N. Volosinov and Mikhail Bakhtin argued that linguistic signs are never social neutral. Every sign and meaning in language is the result of ongoing struggle between various social forces within society. Volosinov explained that discourse is an ideological battleground where language is used either to reflect or to resist the existing social order. This discourse is often used by the dominant groups to maintain social stability and their own power, while marginalized groups use language as a means of resistance. Next slide. Critical discourse analysis. Number 1 is focus of analysis. Media, advertising, and propaganda. According to Fairclough, critical language awareness involves analyzing how language is strategically used in media, advertising, and propaganda to shape individual and group identities, as well as to reinforce ideologies that superpower. Mass media often present events or situations in ways that benefit dominant group while marginalizing other voices or perspectives. By using particular language choices, media can present a narrative that appears neutral but actually reflects specific ideological interests. Number two, media reporting. In media discourse, Fairclough emphasizes how media contracts an ideal subject for its audience. For instance, in reporting unemployment using passive structures like thousands are out of work, compared to active sentence like company directors have thousands of works, illustrates how language can obscure the agency behind actions. This softening social of political accountability. Number three, advertising. Advertising uses manipulative linguistic technique to shape individual identities and desires. Advertisements often do not just promote products, but also desirable lifestyles and identities. Fairclough shows that advertisements use codplay, such as puns, alliteration, and hyperbole, to grab attention and create emotional connections with consumers. The identities shaped through advertising are often linked to consumerism and ideologies that emphasize individualism and personal freedom. Number 4, Nazi propaganda. The use of language in Nazi propaganda is an extreme example how language was manipulated to spread ideology. Joseph Goebbels led a propaganda campaign that employed seemingly ordinary terms loaded with ideological meanings. For instance, the term German worker was used to describe the ideal citizen, while Jewish work was with negative connotations like death or exploitation. In this way, everyday language was altered to promote racial hatred and support the Nazi ideology. I think that's all. I give back to moderator.
Okay, thank you, Dewi Fitria. So the next topic will be explained by Reski Amalia. So Reski Amalia, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. The next material is number 4, resistance to strong language, analysis of specificity. The emphasis on media language and assumption about how language is used in mass communication often overlook how long language is understood and internalized by audience. James Scott, in his book Weapons of the Weak, urges that resistance to power does not always appear overnight. Resistance can manifests subtle use of language, such as nicknames or speech styles that indirectly challenge authority. Weapons of the weak. James Scott. James Scott suggests that resistance to power can occur in form that are not always visible or confrontational in everyday interaction. Thus, in subordinate positions might use language to express resistance without being openly rebellious. Scott found that peasants in village often use context language in front of landlords, showing respect and politeness, but in often chatting among themselves, they use phonic and derogatory nicknames for those landlords. Anti-society language. Holiday. Michel Holiday introduced the concept of an anti-language to describe how optional groups use language to signal they identify in opposition to mainstream society. Anti-language are a form of resistance where subcultures or marginalized groups develop their own lexicon to relate common societal terms. This is a form of relaxation reflecting opposition and rebellion. The next is number 5, sociolinguistic and symbolic power. The word of Pierre Bourdieu. Symbolic domination. Pierre Bourdieu urged the symbolic domination occurred when linguistic interaction reflects and help reproduce existing social structure. According to Bourdieu, every form of language used in social interaction carries traits of power, where language serves to maintain symbolic power through processes that are not always consciously recognized. Communicative economy. Bourdieu introduced the concept of language market and symbolic capital, in which certain forms of language have more value than others depending on the social context. For example, for language style, prestigious essence or mastery of standard language often hold more symbolic capital, granting a social advantage to those who process them. Case study: French and English in Nigeria. In the context of colonization, French and English were used as tools to create a new elite class in proportional countries. Countries like Nigeria, the use of colonial language by local clades gave them a greater symbolic capital in the social structure, helping to reinforce their positions in way newly formed social hierarchies. Okay, that's all for me. I give back the moderator.
Okay, so thank you guys. Maybe that's all from our group. For the conclusion, critical sociolinguistic highlight how language function as a tool for creating and maintaining power structures in society. By analyzing language in its social context, it becomes clear that language not only reflects social reality but also shapes power relation. This approach helps us recognize linguistic practice that perpetuate inequality and reveals the potential of language as a tool for resisting domination. So maybe that's all from our group. So thank you for the attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.